Turning now to the 2024 presidential campaign, was it a disaster, signs of a defunct campaign, or is it a sign of big interest and desire to help fund and launch what many see as the most viable alternative to Donald Trump? Pardon the puns. But in an interview earlier today, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis shared his take on the technical difficulties surrounding his closely watched campaign launch on Twitter Spaces.
So I was sitting there ready to go, and then they got overwhelmed with so many people trying to join. I think the most they had was like 100,000 in the past. They had 700,000 in the room, but there were many, many more that were trying to go in. And so I was just kind of waiting for it to happen, that it did, and then we went on and got it done. But I think the fact that Elon and Twitter were involved, for conservatives, that's meaningful.
One quick thing, though, the governor's inaccurate when he says the largest Twitter Spaces event had about 100,000 people. For example, the platform had upwards of 3.3 million people listen into a live interview that Elon Musk recently conducted with the BBC. But let's head now to South Florida, where we find Robert Costa, CBS News chief elections and campaign correspondent. Bob, good to see you. A big meeting of the governor's top donors continues there in Miami. Give us a sense of whether they're reaching the goals they've set for themselves, and what else has transpired today on day one.
Ed, it's good to be with you from here in Miami. Governor DeSantis' campaign is looking ahead. They've already amassed a lot of money, especially for the super PAC, Never Back Down, but beginning to start to bundle for the official presidential campaign launch this week, as DeSantis now heads next week to Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, and really starts to make his appeal in those early voting states. Donors and DeSantis associates tell CBS News today that there was a bit of consternation about the spectacle of what unfolded on Twitter, but ultimately they do not believe it will leave a permanent mark on the DeSantis campaign, nor sway donors from coming into the fold.
Yeah, and it's important to remember, as many in politics and the media have said in the past, Twitter is not real life, and not everybody spends time on that platform. But you're there in South Florida. There's been another development today in the case involving former President Donald Trump. New details of possible obstruction in the classified documents investigation. What have we learned, and what is the Trump team saying in response?
Ed, the scrutiny on former President Donald Trump's handling of classified records has been a story for a long time. There have been incremental turns, and there was another one today, first reported by the Washington Post, that the federal government, as part of the special counsel investigation on the federal level, now have a spotlight in that investigation on alleged movements of documents behind the scenes before the FBI decided to come to Mar-a-Lago last year and take those documents from the property. This all comes as Trump continues to face legal challenges in Georgia, a possible indictment there coming in August, and then, of course, the January 6th case also being investigated by the special counsel. All of these things loom over the Trump presidential campaign, but Trump campaign advisors tell us they feel good about the polling and about Trump's standing in the party, especially after what happened with the DeSantis rollout.
Yeah, I mean, he maintains a double-digit lead no matter what poll you're looking at these days. Robert Costa there in the 305 on the campaign trail. We thank you. We'll talk to you soon.